Settler attacks have become routine, and Israel has continued to expand illegal settlements on Palestinian land. And in cycles of violence, tens of thousands of Palestinians have been wounded, jailed, or killed. Now, up to 1 million Palestinians in Gaza are being forcibly displaced, putting the two-state solution even further out of reach. A Palestinian living in exile told Al Jazeera, quote, "Even if there was an Israeli government serious about a Palestinian state, and that is a big if, it could not remove the illegal settlements created to carve up the occupied territory." Meanwhile, the state of Palestine exists in libraries, archives, and collectibles, such as these coins that date back more than 100 years. Osama bin Javed, Al Jazeera.
Well, let's get the thoughts of Abdullah Al-Aryan about this, the two-state solution. Abdullah, can it be revived, or are there other viable solutions?
Yeah, I mean, I think when people, especially Palestinians, hear two-state solution at this point, what they really hear is a one-state apartheid reality. I think they see that the initial attempt to do this going back to the 1990s was very much just a legal cover by which Israel actually expanded further, that the settlements from 1993 to 2000 more than doubled, which means that during the Oslo process, that initial 7 years, it was far easier, in fact, to bring in more land under Israeli settler control. And I think that now when we hear it being revived again, and it's always interesting to see who's actually mentioning it. It's the same states and the same leaders who are all actively pushing Israel to do what it's doing currently in Gaza in terms of the mass ethnic cleansing, in terms of an unfolding genocide, essentially, with the mass killings. They're the ones who are also opposed to a ceasefire. They're the ones who are also arming Israel and ensuring a massive asymmetry in power in terms of what it's able to do militarily. And so I think in that sense, a two-state solution really just affirms Israeli supremacy over every inch of historical Palestine. And so for that reason, I don't think anyone takes it seriously.
What are the other options then, alternatively?
Well, I think there's been a lot more discussion, I think, lately among human rights organizations, particularly, international groups that have looked at this as an apartheid reality and said that what really has to happen here is similar to what we saw in apartheid South Africa at the very end, when there was the idea of equal rights for all within the same territory. There was a recognition that the state is simply not going to be carved up into multiple entities, and in fact, there has to be a way for people to coexist. But to do that, you have to abandon the tenets of a settler colonial project. You have to abandon the underlying racism that's at the core in terms of treating Palestinians differently from Israelis.
Some people are already talking about the day after the war. What role for the Palestinian Authority in this post-war when it happens? We heard Arab leaders in Riyadh talking about the Palestinian Authority. Mahmoud Abbas was present at this emergency summit. They said the Palestinian Authority is the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. But can it, in its current configuration, have a role in all of the land occupied by Palestinians?
Well, I think it's a problem.